All right, before we jump in, it's the last time I'll advertise these because they're about to be taken off, but we have these shirts available, hoodies, different colors, different types, etc. If you want one, there's a link down in the description below. All right, so today's video is a revisit of the best money-making methods in Red Dead Redemption 2, because if we're going totally transparent here and just being completely honest, the previous video that I did was pretty bad. Now, at the time, it was fine and it definitely still helped a lot of people, but after playing dozens, even close to 100 additional hours, there's a lot more information and I can do a much better job of covering it, so here it is, a revisit. YouTube's algorithm is really punishing, so I'm not actually going to take down the previous video because it got a lot of views and I don't know the intricacies of the system, and if I delete that, then maybe it will hit me pretty hard and make my stuff not appear more in the search results, and there's a lot of really complicated and really damaging things that can happen with YouTube's search algorithm. So I'm not going to be deleting the previous video, but this one hopefully will be a lot better, and I'll make sure to link from the previous one to this. So as you progress through Red Dead Redemption 2, you'll unlock various different methods through which you can earn funds. Now, I'm mostly going to be skipping over the one-off things and the main story. I'll talk about them just a little bit towards the middle or end of the video, but mostly what I'm going to focus on is consistent, redoable methods where you can generate funds over time and just keep on doing them as long as you need to until you've got the money that you're requiring for a bounty or whatever else. Hunting and fishing are not very good. The reason for this is that they have other uses. When you're hunting, you're getting perfect pelts. Those are the only ones that really matter. And you're going to be using those to craft maybe saddles, maybe gear upgrades, maybe cosmetics, a whole bunch of different things. So hunting is a very slow method of acquiring money, but it has a utility value in other areas by giving you different upgrades to your camp, or your holsters, or your bandolier, or your saddle. The list goes on and on. Fishing is pretty much the same. As you're fishing and throwing back the fish that you don't want, you'll actually gain honor, and then you're mostly going to be catching fish for the provisions and to turn into the legendary fisherman guy, and you get a unique reward from that when you catch all 13. This is not so much about making money. It has other uses, so much the same as hunting. It's not something you're going to be doing in order to earn a lot of funds quickly. It can be done, but it's something that doesn't really align with that, and it's not one of the positive or super powerful methods of generating dollars as fast as possible. Next, we have stealing horses and general robbery, and I'll loop those two together because individually there's not that much to cover. Stealing horses is not lucrative at all. When you steal a horse early in the game, you'll be able to sell it to any regular stable for a tiny fraction of what it's actually worth, and you're also going to lose honor when you steal a horse, or when you loot a body, or when you're partaking in that activity in any capacity. And then later on, you'll unlock a special vendor who is the horse fence. He'll pay you more for stolen horses, but it's still a very small fraction of what that horse is worth. So pretty much universally, stealing horses is never going to give you enough money to justify the amount of time it takes. Right alongside that is general robbery. You can pick up certain tips for stagecoaches or other home invasions or home robberies from various side encounters or missions, or directly from the mail clerk at various train stations. And this means that you can hunt down specific carriages or go to specific homesteads and rob them. The homesteads have a little bit more money if you are able to find the secret locations within the house, and you sometimes have to jump through a couple of hoops, and there's a good fight at the beginning or maybe in the middle, and you'll get a decent amount of dollars for that. But then also the stagecoaches are right on par, and you can hunt them down, grab them, and then quickly sell them to the Emerald Ranch fence. And that leads right into the next method, which is one of the best, if not the best methods in the game. Right here on the map is the Emerald Ranch, and this is going to unlock very early on in the campaign, and this is the specific location where you bring the stolen carriages from the tips that you get from the mail clerk. Now also here is the fence who will buy any stolen carriage, and stolen carriages often go for $25 to $40. It's very quick to find them. There's a lot of trade routes around that location, and all you have to do is lasso them and hogtie them, the drivers that is, or shoot them, or whatever you need to do. As long as you get that carriage, you can drive it directly into Emerald Ranch and sell it, and this is the most reliable, the fastest that I've been able to uncover, and the easiest method of generating a lot of money quickly in order to pay bounties. And you're not going to usually be racking up an additional bounty by doing this, because it's very easy to grab a carriage with no witnesses. So you just over and over and over track down a carriage, bring it back, turn it into the Emerald Ranch fence, and that's the best and most reliable method of earning money. Still, another method is playing poker, and I briefly mentioned it in the previous video, and I just sort of glossed over it, but it turns out that the enemy AI is very easy to exploit and abuse. They're not that intelligent. So what you need to do is understand that most of the enemy players will probably go all in sometimes with even a pair, 3 of a kind, or 2 pair. If you have anything over a full house, if you have a flush, a straight, anything like that, 4 of a kind, any good hand at all, you can oftentimes get most of the other players to go all in. So all you really need to do is fold until you have a semi-decent hand, and then you're likely to win, and you jack up the bet and the price and the pot as high as possible. It's not 100% reliable, and thus I wouldn't classify it as the best method in the game, but if you really like poker, you can amass a huge fortune playing constantly by just outsmarting the enemy NPCs, because they're not that intelligent. After that, you have bounties and hunting down wanted criminals. Now, this is something I focused on a lot in the previous video because at the time I was picking up bounties from every single city that I went to, and I was getting a decent chunk of funds for them. Not only that, but when you're hunting down wanted criminals, your honor will increase, and that is directly contrary to most other methods on the list, aside from things that are one-offs where there's no honor involved. But when you're hunting down wanted criminals, you gain honor and you gain a decent amount of money, but there's not as many bounties as I originally thought. So this is a method that you can use once in a while if you have one, but it's not something that's super reliable. You're not going to be able to do it anytime that you want for as long as you want. Now we finally come to robbing trains, and this is one that a lot of people have talked about, and there are a few different methods for doing so, but I've found that robbing trains overall is a really risky activity. Much like it would have been in the Wild West, it's something that is basically an art form. It requires the perfect combination of tactics to pull off, and even then, if you get one thing wrong, you can often amass a huge bounty that will far surpass the amount of money that you're getting from the train. A very important thing to know is that there are 2 types of trains, and you cannot rob cargo trains. It just won't ever be worth it. You can physically rob them, but you won't get the funds to recoup any of your losses. So you need to make sure that you're robbing passenger trains that have passenger cars. The best method that I've been able to uncover that allows you to repeat the tactic over and over is to go to Wallace Station, located right here, and then from Wallace Station purchase a ticket down to Riggs Station, which is directly south of it. Now this will spawn or either accelerate the timetable so that you get on a passenger train, take that passenger train to Riggs Station, and then there you have a couple of different options ahead of you. The first option is to simply stand up, walk to the back of all the passenger cars, and then just wait for the train to leave the station again. Once it has, you put on your mask or you pull up your bandana, and you proceed through the cars and rob everyone that you can. This is lucrative, it can give you a great deal of funds, but you also may amass a huge bounty as you will be required to kill certain guards, and then the lawmen will come after you, and honestly, it's really risky. Another tactic is to go up to the water tower that's right next to Riggs Station, wait for the train to start moving, and then jump on top of it from the water tower. This is something that also works, and then you run up to the front of the train and you disable the train on the bridge that comes directly after Riggs. So you're taking the train from Riggs Station and then stopping it right in the middle of the large bridge so that people can't get off and run away from you, and also so that the law can't directly get to the train. This is an effective tactic, but again, it's really risky. All in all, if executed properly, a train robbery can net you a few $100s at least. If there are multiple safes and multiple cars that contain wall safes, you'll have to have multiple sticks of dynamite. You walk up, you place the dynamite on the safe, light the dynamite, walk away, it'll blow open, and there'll be $60 or $80 in there sometimes. And also, all of the passengers will give you funds. Sometimes you can get multiple safes on a train, up to 3. If you get 3, it's a really lucrative encounter. If you only get 1 or 0, then it's not worth it at all. You can also ride up next to trains and jump onto them while they are already in transit, but if your horse runs into the train even slightly, sometimes it can permanently die. If your horse gets hit by a train, that's one of the few ways in the game where it will instantly die and you cannot revive it. So that can result in really awkward situations where you have to walk a huge distance to recover your horse or get a different one, and also it can result in a loss of funds because horses cost a lot of money if you have a really good one, and if you lose that, then that's a huge deficit. So riding up next to trains, be warned, it can be really dangerous for your horse, and also it's not a better method than going to Wallace Station and the ones that I previously talked about. Lastly, I can make mention of the main story and the one-offs like gold bars and treasure hunts and, various Easter eggs, etc. The thing is, the main story is a one completion and that's it, but it does give you more money in one single burst for certain missions than anywhere else in the game. You'll know which ones they are when you get to them, but you'll get huge amounts of money for specific campaign missions. So if you're ever really struggling for it, maybe just progress the main campaign for a while, but other times you'll go through a bunch of main campaign missions and get nothing at all. I'm not going to spoil anything because it's a really well crafted campaign. I don't want anyone to know any of the key plot points before they happen, but there are certain intervals and certain specific activities that happen during the campaign, and when they do, you'll know what they are, and you get tons and tons of money. Outside of that, you have various different locations that yield gold bars. I'm not going to cover them all in this video. They're out there all over YouTube if you want to find them. There are tons of different treasure maps and hidden locations and caves and puzzles that you can do to uncover gold bars. I've covered a couple of them in my top 5 tips video, and all in all, you'll get thousands upon thousands of dollars for that. But once you've done those things and you've gotten that money, you can never do them again. There also is a gold glitch and exploit. I don't know if it's still working, and personally, I never do it. I don't really approve of exploits and glitches and abusing them. But if you really want to, it might still be working. Again, it's a really simple thing to search up. Just Google Red Dead Redemption 2 gold glitch, and there's probably hundreds, if not thousands, of videos on exactly how to do it. So if you're interested, that's a possibility. But the gold bars in general, you can look up different treasure maps. If you own a treasure map, you can look up a specific guide for that one. Typically, at the end of those kind of treasure hunts or those scavenger hunts, you'll get between 1 and 4 gold bars, valued at $500 each if you sell them to a fence. Don't give them to your camp. Don't donate them, and don't sell them in other locations, because sometimes at certain places they'll be worth $300 instead of $500, and you really want to get the full $500 for them. The bounty system isn't perfect in this game because you're risking so much and the bounties can go up sky high so quickly. Sometimes certain activities that would have been really lucrative end up not being lucrative at all, and you actually accrue a deficit of some kind by partaking in them. But it's not perfect, though it's not terrible. It just sort of is what it is, and we deal with it. There's not that much more to say. Obviously, the best and most reliable and easiest method is to steal stagecoaches and return them to the Emerald Ranch, but if you're an expert train robber, it can be really lucrative to do that as well. If you're looking for a boost to honor and you haven't done the bounties already, you can go ahead and knock those out. You can go through the main story and get a significant chunk from key missions there. You can look up some gold bars, some treasure maps, etc. And there are a lot of different ways to make money, but horses, stealing them and selling them, not so good, and other methods as well, like hunting and fishing, really not going to be that lucrative. Again, we have this shirt right here available just for a little bit longer. You can pick one up if you want. I won't drag that on though and plug that too much. At the end of the day, this is kind of a revisit to a previous video I did that was lacking. It was subpar, and I apologize for that. I'll try to keep the content on the up and up and make it always valuable, but I'll cut the whole video there and I'll stop rambling. If you want to support the channel in various ways, check out the links down below: Facebook, Discord, website, forums, yada yada. I stream here as well, but not as much as I was previously doing. We'll see in the future. Anyways, have a nice night, guys. Thank you for watching.